Planning and Zoning Commission Tuesday, August the 13th to order. Approval of agenda.
We need to amend the agenda.
Okay.
We're going to change recommendation for turning lane to the last item for action items.
All right. There's a motion to amend the agenda, moving item number 3 to item 4 and 4 to 3. Is there a second?
A second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consideration of minutes for July 9th, 2019. Has everybody had a chance to review those? If so, take a motion to approve or correct.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as submitted for July 9th, 2019.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any further discussion? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Have time for public comment. Is there any public comment? Going once? No. All right. Close that. Non-action items. Several of us got to go together or go up to the last New Mexico zoning meeting in Albuquerque, and one of the many topics that was covered there was making sure that we cover all the discussion for any action items inside of a motion. So with that, it's been agreed by city staff that we need to change, I need to change the way that the meetings run. And so from this point forward, when we get to an action item, I'll call for a motion to consider a recommendation. Somebody needs to make that motion, and we need to second it. And then we can have the conversation. If there's a decision that we're not going to go with the recommendation, then we'll have to amend that motion and go back and fix that. Okay? If we agree with staff recommendation, then we'll just, after comments, we'll have a vote. The other side of that, correct me where I'm wrong, James or Crystal, I believe we agreed that we're going to bring anybody that wants to speak on behalf of or against an action item, those people will be allowed to speak, and then we'll close that to the audience, and then the rest of the comment will be internal to the board.
Yes, yeah. That's typically, it's at the chair's discretion to allow public comment on those action items. We typically encourage that. Whenever you do allow for that public comment, though, I would highly recommend that as well you limit that to a set amount of time. And then once that public comment's closed, that's it. Then there will be discussion amongst the board. If anybody needed like clarification from somebody who is requesting the change, they would need to actually go through the chair to ask that question instead of going back and forth and kind of disorganized conversation with that.
Like 5-year-old soccer. All right, so with that, let's move on to action item. Take the motion to consider the recommendation for streetlights.
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second to consider the recommendation for streetlights at J.L. Reed and I destroy this name every time.
Domzowski.
Domzowski subdivision.
All right, as everybody knows, we have the new streets finishing off Avenue J into a cul-de-sac and finishing off Avenue K into a cul-de-sac. And these areas, this is the Domzowski subdivision area. This piece over here is this is the Domzowski, this is the J.L. Reed section. So it was two subdivisions that have put in these new roads. We need to look at placing some street lights out there. What we want to do is something similar to this. I did give you a list of the footages between each of these lights, but we want to stay, these footages was as close as we could get to what is normally in the area. Due to these lot sizes are so much larger than the lots to the north or the south of them. We don't want to stick a street light in the middle of somebody's lot before it's been developed. That causes issues with where they're going to put their driveway. Is it right in the middle of their front door? You know, so that's why we like to stick to the street lights being 6 foot off the back of the curb so we can allow for sidewalks to be built in. And we want them on the adjacent lot lines. I platted it out and kind of give this to you. This is 7 new lights. There is an existing street light right down here at this alley. And there is an existing street light right here in between these two lots.
Okay. Crystal, have you discussed this with Lee County Electric? Do they feel like their lights are gonna have correct coverage?
Like I said, this is the only one I was a little worried about was the 295 length, which is this one here from here to here. But otherwise, you'd be sticking one, because these lots are just big. They're just really big lots. So would be sticking an extra one in here, and then they would be 160, you know, they'd be too close at that point. And a lot of people don't like that much light in their neighborhood, but I don't know. I mean, if you guys want to suggest another light being put there, that is up to you. But we do have other areas in town where streetlights are 300 foot apart. We do.
One end of the block and the other end of the block.
Yes. There is something like that, yes.
Any questions for staff?
I did have a recommendation, is that you, if you approve this, that we approve it with the condition that the developer finishes out the manholes. They have not got the concrete put around the manholes in the alleyways, and the alleyways are still kind of impassable. So I'd like them, with the condition of us putting these lights in, they need to fix those issues.
So in other words, approval of the subdivision as built.
Well, the subdivision was approved with the condition that they were first supposed to fix this.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be able to start construction on it until
Yeah,
after
that
all
is
the
true.
work is done and cleaned up.
So if we don't need that condition on there, that's fine.
No, I think it's an excellent condition. If we don't have that,
Just
you
another
don't
way to
have
make
that-
sure they're gonna get it done.
yeah, if you
That's
don't
what I
have
was-
that current teeth right now, I think that's the perfect way to do that.
That's in her recommendation.
So is the electricity coming in for the homes from the alleyway, or?
Yes, aren't most light poles white? In the alleyway. Yeah, because you have electricity this direction, of course down here, over here, and this one up here, you have electric lines in this alley up here.
So is the power for these lights gonna be solar, or are they gonna be buried cable?
We don't have any buried cable in town. James? Yeah, that's what we would have to have post set, because there is no,
Right, poles, but I didn't know if they're,
mhm.
okay.
And I know The lines that run, the street lights are separate from the lines that run your houses and things like that. So it'd be it wouldn't be tied into the alleys that are gonna supply electricity to the homes. That's all electrical stuff, I don't know. I just know they're different lines. That's all I've been told.
Any questions for Crystal? Scott, any comments?
No,
You're the local expert, come on.
no, Crystal is correct. Our lighting circuit is different than power that goes to the homes. Lighting circuits are usually on the road for the lights, and our house electricity is usually in the alleyways coming off our transformers.
Any further discussion? I would like to ask the person making the motion to consider revising the motion to,
It's in her recommendation.
huh?
It's in her recommendation.
Well, it's not in the recommendation that
Yes, it
we
is.
started with.
Under recommendation.
Well, yeah, but, okay, so on the agenda, the recommendation is just for streetlights from J.L. Reed and the Gosky subdivision.
So we need to change
That's
it.
the way we read the,
On the staff summary form?
yeah, but this is the way it was read as,
Oh, the action item.
as the action
Oh,
item.
okay. But it's happening in the recommendation.
How do we change it? Or do we need to change it?
Change it to recommend, or a motion to approve the recommendation of staff's
Yep.
site plan for the light placement.
I would put that specific language in about, recommends that the alleys and manholes be completed
Yeah.
prior to installation, because I think if it's not in there, it gives, that person an opportunity to argue that it was not part of it. So I think that needs to go specifically in the motion, and you can just read from the recommendation portion here from.
So I just need to change it all?
Yeah, just amend your motion to include the recommendation that the alleys and manholes be completed.
Okay, I need to amend my motion to recommend staff's site plan for the 7 new streetlights with the recommendation that the alleys and manholes be completed prior to installation of the lights by the city.
And it would be, the manholes, and alleys would be completed by the
Developer.
The developer.
Yeah.
To be completed by the developer.
So the revised motion would be to accept staff recommendation that the alleys and the manholes would be completed by the developer prior to the installation of the lights by the city. Scott, are you willing to second that?
I'd like to make a second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. If there's no further comment, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion to consider the recommendation for a variance for a 3-foot side.
I make a motion that we look at the recommendation for the variance of the 3-foot side setback.
At 612 West Washington Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Have a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Looking at 612 West Washington, Stillman came in and needed to replot his property to actually remove an encroachment from the neighboring property on the east side of his home. And in doing so, we need approval of this replat. These two variances have to be, this one and the 608, These two variances have to be approved prior to the city being able to sign off on his replat. He did not meet setbacks on the side, on the west side of this home, due to the fact that when he first replatted, he made it so he met setbacks, but that became an issue with taking away the egress and ingress of the neighboring home. So then we had to have him move it back, and then that's when he only has a 3-foot side yard setback. So the owner's been trying to correct many issues with this home. As you know, he was in here before with the non-conforming structures of the fence and the storage in the backyard, built in the alleyway, like many of the other homes in that area. Oh, I don't need that one. Just that's, I mean, he's still having trouble. He can't get the finances he needs to help do the renovations on this home until all these issues are taken care of. You know, he has not caused these issues to be, he didn't make any of these issues. They were just kind of brought upon him when he bought this property without knowing the issues that were there. So do you have any questions?
So all of these issues existed at the time of purchase?
Yes. The house was actually built, we don't know which owner. I've tried to look back on the deeds and tried to look back on Google Earth, but there was so much fuzziness that you really can't tell when that addition was built, because there was a patio and stuff to that side at one point in time, and then the next clearest picture you get, you can see it's fully a structure there. It was built 9 foot over the property line. 2002 is the clearest picture I could see of when it was built over that property line. So it has been there. It looked like it was even there prior to that, but like I said, the pictures on Google Earth were I couldn't find any permits. Of course, that's hard to do. So we don't know when that was built, but it was built over the property line. If you see the little dotted line there, right here, that was the property line, or that is currently the property line. So right now he has like a 9 foot 8 inch encroachment on the neighbor's property. And him and the neighbor have been working, he's been working with the neighbor to purchase this portion of the property from them, and of course he's paid for all the replat and all the variance issues and things like that to try to get this fixed.
So the ILR, when he purchased it, didn't show the,
No, he didn't, because he purchased home for cash. So there was no mortgage that happened when he first purchased the home. So I mean, the only thing we can do is make him tear down part of his house if we don't approve this, and how can I really, are you guys gonna enforce that? Because I don't know how I would.
So once he receives this variance, the next thing on the list would be getting it replatted, right?
Yeah, he's already paid for the surveys and everything, and this is his, this document here is the plat that will be recorded from the surveyor that's already done the work.
So it's not stamped until he gets the variance.
Yeah, we can't, me and James can't sign off of it until these two variances, which is this one and the next one, are approved.
Am I correct in looking at this drawing that the neighbor to the west is, their fence is on this guy's property?
Which one?
Carport.
No, he actually owns both those lots. 3A was, Lot 3A was converted
Yep.
back in 77. It was replatted into this lot and this, because it's not 3A right now. I'm sorry, it's Lot 3 and 4. And it was, I mean, he does own both of those. But with this replat, he was going to change that to one lot, and then this.
So it says in the recommendation, it says commission must decide if the city will enforce the denial of this variance. I don't think they will. I really don't think they will. Causing the owner to demolish a portion of the home to be compliant. I don't think so. You ready for a motion?
Yeah.
One thing to consider may be, if the next request is not granted, it sort of makes this one moot. So it may not be a bad idea to
Do them both.
put this one on hold, maybe to table it, because you can open it up at any time, discuss the second parcel, which would be Lot 2A, so that everybody sort of knows what's happening, the
Right.
Properties.
pros and cons on 2A's request, and then be able to table that, come back to 3A, or however you decide
Right.
to do that. But I think it may not be a bad idea to at least discuss that, because it wouldn't make sense to grant 3A and not 2A, or to grant 2A and not 3A.
Yeah.
They
Or
both-
to grant this first one without knowing about the second one.
Yes.
Yes.
So okay.
Well,
Is there a
I'll
motion to
make a
table?
motion to table this item, the variance for the 3-foot side yard setback at 612 West Washington Avenue.
The motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any additional comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
So we moved the,
Number 3 to 4.
right.
So now you'll be looking at 608.
Okay, I'll make a motion to address the recommendation for variance on lot size at 608 West Washington Avenue.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, Crystal.
All right, we have a variance for the lot size. This lot size variance is being requested at 4,564 square feet, which is below the A-zone standard lot size by our code. The lot actually has always been below standard size since it was made in the 1930s and recorded in 44. Even street names were different. But the lot size was 5,010 square feet. This is usually allowed, anything platted prior to 1971, and our code is allowed to be that small, but with the replat, that's where it comes into, now it's being replatted, that changes that date, therefore we have to have it approved by commission that this lot's acceptable in the A zone. And again, as we went over before, due to the encroachment of the home, these owners are working together to try to resolve this issue. Any questions?
questions for staff?
Do you want me to make the motion before we go back to the other one? Do you want to table it and
You
then go back?
don't have to. I think it's just important to discuss and know that they're both tied together.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll make a motion to grant this variance on the lot size at 608 West Washington Avenue.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, comments? If there is none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Let's go back to topic 2. Motion to reconsider the recommendation for 612. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
So back considering 612. Any further questions for staff? Boy, I sure wish that the city would make it a rule that every piece of property here has to have a survey done on it. That's my comment to staff. Just an improvement survey, not talking a full blown out. So, I'll take a recommendation or a motion to approve or deny the request.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the variance for the 3-foot side yard setback at 612 Washington Avenue.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. I have a comment that I want to make sure is in the minutes with respect to this. The reason for this approval is because of the pre-existing conditions and not for any other reason with that exception. So, with that being said, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, motion to consider the recommendation for a designated turn lane on 9th and K. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So the Lovington schools have contacted us actually late last month about wanting to create a right turn only lane coming out of their north entrance of the high school parking lot. A little bit closer view. You can see here's Avenue K, travels east-west. This one they want to, whenever somebody is exiting the parking lot, they want to make it a right turn only to ease some of the congestion. They do have another outlet here to where they would be able to make left or right turns. The traffic would still be able to go 2 ways on 9th Street, but we do have a concrete, I don't know if you call it a median, there that does force that. If you hug the curb on that particular intersection. The schools have offered to go ahead and make all of the improvements, but however, since we would be altering traffic flow, we wanted to bring that to planning and zoning. Working with Wyatt and Bernardo on the streets, we will be using some the tubular markers about 28 to 32 inches tall, spaced about 5 feet apart to create the lane.
ones that are
Different.
I want different.
And that is, we did speak with Chief of Police, and he has no objection to this, and Wyatt and Bernardo have no objections to this either.
Where exactly would those, so if at the south end of the parking lot, if they turn right, would those tubular markers interfere with
No.
traffic there?
If they wanted to turn right on K, they would just have to flow into the right-hand
On that
lane.
street, from the south, from like the tennis courts, if they turn right there and head north?
Correct. They could either go, continue north on 9th Street, or they can merge into that turning lane.
So the tubular markers would just be right at the exit?
Correct.
They wouldn't stay on the street or anything?
It'd go across the exit.
It would go across the exit. So if you look, this actually is controlled right here with a concrete barrier
Uh-huh.
or median. So if they come out, they wouldn't be able to go straight to make a left-hand turn.
I see.
However, entrance, you would still be able to make a turn here and enter the parking lot that way. Down here, it's the same thing. You can turn right and either continue up onto 9th Street, or you can merge into that turning lane and go down Avenue K, or you can actually take a left and go south on 9th.
So coming out of that north exit, if they go right, they have no choice but to go right
Go
and
on
make that
Avenue.
right-hand turn.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So out of the north exit, you cannot turn north and get into the lane that would continue north? Or would be forced to stay in the, okay.
Turning lane.
So, and the school likes the idea of increasing traffic on K?
I don't know that this would actually increase traffic on Avenue K. I think what they're experiencing is a bottleneck right now, because you have individuals who are trying to either make a left-hand turn, and they're fighting oncoming traffic, and so it's causing that congestion and bottleneck up here. So this would actually smooth it out to encourage people to either make a choice. You can go left, go south, or you can actually go right on Avenue K.
Or you can exit the entrance?
So on that exit there, there's not gonna be an exit to be able to go south.
Correct.
Or
So
north
the-
on 9th Street.
The only way
Further
that it's
this
gonna
way.
be open, that people can come into the lot, like you said,
Yes.
and come in from the road. Okay.
So if someone wants to head north on 9th Street beyond Avenue K, they would have to use the south exit.
Yeah, they would either have to use this exit or this exit.
Okay.
I'm gonna bet you a quarter every high school kid in that parking lot's gonna exit the entrance.
And as far as signage, the school's gonna take care of the,
Yes, sir. Signage as well as the tubular markers, thank you, the channelizers. They offered to go, that we would actually provide them, this is what you need to purchase. And then they would actually facilitate the purchase for us.
I think it's gonna move the bottleneck into the parking lot is all it's gonna do.
Go ahead. Come on up, Wyatt.
you know, students.
Wyatt Duncan, Public Works Director. As James says, I was approached by Mr. Lewis by this about a month ago, end of last month. And we actually met on site, and the school, it is their recommendation to make Bill Lewis the parking lot, the mess that's in the parking lot. So his recommendation was to have the ballards or the markers come all the way down. So they come out of the parking lot on the far north side. They are forced to go down Avenue K. and they want that flow of traffic just to go enforce. The other two, they were gonna put the signage that you can actually, the center one on the side of the gym, on the south side of the, north side of the gym, that you can turn and go up 9th Street and go straight or yield into the Avenue K. And the bottom one, but they are going to purchase, they're actually going to have staff on site at lunchtime to direct traffic is what we were told. And they are going to purchase all the signage that is going to be at the parking lot stages. And he says that they believe that it's going to make the parking lot flow better exiting.
All we can do is hope.
But just like James said, where the arrow is exiting out, we're gonna put the ballards or the markers so far that they can't squeeze out and go around them. So it's actually gonna force them to go.
And it's their problem if someone tries to exit vehicles, like he was saying.
You drive over it.
And they're gonna put the arrows down, because we did suggest putting arrows, exit and entrance. The pole sign with the stop sign is still there. That's where he's actually gonna hang the sign saying right turn only, or Avenue K exit only. But they're going to be responsible for all signage.
Any further questions for staff? No, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the designated turn lane at 9th Street and Avenue K.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments? I'm gonna make one. I believe this needs a study on it before it's done. That's just my comment. With that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. All in favor has it, 3 with 2. Motion carries. There you go. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.